The next question we have now, looking at the most tragic and disastrous, stomach-churning sickness of what's going on in Gaza right now. How do we support Palestine? How do we support justice and freedom and liberation for Palestinians? It's actually, from our perspective, it's very simple. In reality, God will decree whenever it is his will. And so we cannot force him to make a decision. We can first and foremost pray, especially while we're in our prostration, and pray for all of the people of Palestine, just like we should be praying for all of the people in so many other places in the world who are going through very difficult hardships that we can't imagine here in the West. But secondarily is we need to be educated. We need to thoroughly educate ourselves. Read, for example, Ilan Pappé's Ethnic Cleansing in Palestine. For example, you can read The Palestine Question of Edward Said. You could read 100 Years of Occupation by Khalid Rashidi. There are many different very good books out there. It's crucial for us to be educated, to know the fundamental history, and then to differentiate between Zionist and Zionism and Jew and Judaism. These are fundamental issues because we don't want to ever be anti-Semitic, just like we would never support anybody being Islamophobic or racist in any way. We're not against an ethnic group or a religious group in collective. This is completely un-Islamic. But what we are is against Zionism as a political ideology that uses Judaism for cover and weaponizes anti-Semitism falsely. And if you're concerned that, well, that's what I see happening, I don't even want to get involved, just go look up the Jerusalem Declaration with hundreds of Jewish scholars of Jewish studies, Holocaust studies, political science, who signed on to a document and created the actual principles of how we can define anti-Semitism. And they said that the criticism of the state of Israel with factual criticizing of its history, documented facts, its policies, its way of occupation, apartheid, all of those things are not anti-Semitic. You're not talking against a people. You're talking about a system of governance that some people support, like apartheid South Africa, or as some people may believe, communist China. That doesn't mean all Chinese people are bad. It doesn't mean Chinese is evil. It means that the system of governance there we are against, and we are calling for its eradication. So that's the first point. And we need to always realize that most people are victims of a propaganda campaign. A lot of wealth and time and effort and strategy was put into defending the Zionist project. And so they've put in millions and millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of hours of time on so many different fronts to ensure that they would be preserved in their ability to execute this political ideology. The most important thing to remember is that the United States government is the main and only fundamental shield of Israel. If public opinion in America changes to the extent that the general position of the American public is saying that we need to remove this military occupation and this dehumanization and preferring one religious group and one ethnic group over others who are not that religious and ethnic group, we call that apartheid. When everybody agrees on that, as they did with South Africa, then there will be no more chance for them to do this. And so this is where we have to educate people. We have to talk to our elected officials, talk to our neighbors, and just stick with the facts. When people bring up things like Hamas and terrorism and Islamic Jihad, say, look, I don't know about those particular groups and what their exact issue is and how they operate. But what I do know is the reason why they exist is the military occupation and the apartheid regime. This displacement, massacre, bulldozing over of homes, keeping people in an open-air prison, it creates extremist hopelessness that wants to do anything it can to draw attention to the suffering that the world seems to not care about. And that is the problem. When you undo that, then you will there will be no need for a Hamas or whatever else of people who are trying to fight for their rights, whether it be lawful according to international law or unlawful, as we've seen with this recent attack. So it's important for us to stay principled the whole time and not to allow our emotions to drive us. We have to stick with the facts. We have to stay principled, and then we will see victory and liberation for the Palestinian people, and the Holy Land will be what it was intended to be.